So you can see from the thumbnail of this video, we are taking a look at a very interesting shoe today. And the reason it's interesting to me is because it is a brand new running brand to the channel, 42. And if you've been following us for any period of time, you'll know that I'm a massive fan of Danish running apparel brand SAYSKY. And these bad boys are a collaboration between the two brands. I've also got to say, loving the design of this shoe. You know, this kind of golden colorway looks awesome, and it's very unusual to see a pair of running shoes in a color like this. But we all know it's not all about looks when it comes to our shoes, and we want them to fit, feel, and perform well. So let's dive into the video, give you a few facts and figures about the new shoes, and then we're going to be hitting the trails and testing them out. Can you believe it? This is our 41st first impressions video of the year, and way back at the start of the year I said I wanted 2024 to be the channel's biggest year when it comes to running shoe reviews, and with about a month and a half to go, we're on track and I think we're going to achieve that. So that's really good news. But welcome back folks, I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Thanks for tuning in again, it really is appreciated. But let's get stuck straight into this collaboration shoe between SAYSKY and 42. First thing we're going to discuss is the price. So they actually retail for quite an expensive £170 here in the UK, which did come as a bit of a shock. As far as the weight, my pair in a UK 9, and you heard me correctly, I said a UK 9. Unfortunately, when SAYSKY sent the shoe out for this video, they didn't have a UK 9.5 available. So hopefully they're going to be okay on length and not size too small. So they tipped the scales at 365 grams. So not the lightest trail running shoe I've ever tested out on the channel. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And stack height, we got 27mm at the heel, 21mm under the forefoot, giving them a 6mm heel to toe offset. So let's break down the construction, and we're going to start off with this rather good looking golden upper first. So the shoe utilizes this lightweight, breathable, durable fabric, which actually reminds me of ripstop material, and it feels very similar to Matrix. So that's definitely a good sign. I think it means this upper is going to hold up well to the tough trail environment. We got lots of heavy duty material overlays as well, wrapping around the heel, the ankle collar, the midfoot, and the lace eyelets. And then we have the toe bumper of all toe bumpers. I mean, this is some serious reinforcement, and I reckon you could drop kick a rock when you're out on the trails and you're probably not gonna feel it. So they really do look well put together. It looks like the shoe's gonna be nice and durable, but I also think the addition of all this material and that big rubber toe bumper are what add to the overall weight of the running shoe. Inside the upper, we get a gusseted tongue design with what I would say is a moderate level of padding, and they've worked in this split at the top of the tongue, so should wrap around the top of your foot nicely, giving you that nice, secure, precise fit. We've got good levels of support in the back end of the shoe from a substantial heel cradle, and you get a good level of padding around the ankle collar and in the heel. Moving down to the midsole design, and we've got a dual compound setup, something that we're seeing from a lot of the running brands these days, especially when it comes to their trail running shoes. So the top layer is a bit softer, giving you that sort of close to the foot comfort, and then the bottom layer is firmer to give you balance support and better underfoot protection. And actually, pushing into both layers of foam here, they actually feel quite firm. So going to be really interesting to see how that midsole performs out on the trails today. However, we do get a pair of high rebound Ortholite insoles inside the shoe. So maybe that will provide us with an extra level of plushness. And also, if I give the midsole a quick flex test, not only is it quite firm, but it's also pretty stiff at that midfoot. So obviously it's a new shoe, but it's going to be interesting to see how that feels out on today's run. And then last but not least, especially when it comes to our trail running shoes, the all important outsole. And I don't know about you, but is that not the biggest Vibram logo you've ever seen on the bottom of a trail running shoe? So yep, we have Vibram's Mega Grip light base rubber on the bottom. You know, we are seeing this brand dominate when it comes to trail running shoes, and lots of the brands are now using this rubber on their outsoles, which I personally think is a good thing. So we're going to get good performance when it comes to rocky or wet rocky trails, but we've also got this nice chunky 5mm deep lug pattern, so should be the perfect setup for getting out on the wet muddy trails here in the UK. So there you have it, folks, the collaboration shoe from one of my favourite running brands, SAYSKY. And you know, when I heard that they were collaborating on a trail running shoe, I got all excited about it, and I think they've done a really good job when it comes to the design and the colourway they've chosen for the shoes. But there are a few things I'm not so sure about: the overall weight and the stiffness of that midsole. But if I've learned one thing after all these years of testing out running shoes, you never really know how they're going to perform until you've got them on your feet, you've laced them up, and you're actually out there running in them. So on that note, that is exactly what we're going to do, and we'll see you guys out on the trails. Okay, so we've driven up to today's run location. Not ideal conditions, unfortunately. I mean, perfect conditions for testing out a new trail shoe, but not great conditions for filming a video. So it's raining quite heavy at the moment, although we have come up to Tahiti Woods, so hopefully we'll get some shelter from the trees from the wind and rain. And this is one of the downsides to making content here in the UK during winter. Normally pretty gloomy, we don't get a lot of daylight, and we have a lot of rain, but you know, that's one of the things we have to deal with at the channel. But I suppose I better get the hoodie off and get out in the wet stuff. Okay, 3 miles done. I think we've been lucky on two fronts. First, the rain stopped, I think. It does keep spitting now and again, but the trees are definitely giving us cover. And secondly, I think I've been lucky on sizing. So like I mentioned, I got sent a UK 9 instead of a UK 9.5. And I actually think the SAYSKY collaboration trail running shoe sizes up quite long. So in this UK 9, I've actually got plenty of length in the toe, good lockdown around my midfoot, good hold in the heel. But I would say, as the rain starts again, it is quite narrow in the toe box, and it does go down to quite a point at the end of the toe. So I would say fine for my foot shape. I'm quite narrow in my width. If you have got a wider foot, this shoe might not work for you. The upper actually feels nice and comfortable, just the right level of padding in that gusseted tongue, so it's comfortable across the top of my foot, and I can get a good lockdown, nice and plush around that ankle collar as well. So far 3 miles in, the upper's feeling good, but let's crack on. Here comes the rain. We might as well just get this run done. We're going to try and get in 7 to 8 miles today, so let's get out there. Okay, so I definitely tempted fate. As soon as I said we've been lucky with the weather and it stopped raining, it started raining, and it's rained ever since, so it's been really tricky to film, trying to keep the camera dry, having to wipe the lens all the time, but hopefully we've got some good footage there. But it has been great testing grounds for the new SAYSKY trail shoe. So very wet in the woods today, lots of mud, lots of greasy leaves on the ground, and lots of slippery tree roots. And this Vibram Mega Grip light base outsole with that 5mm lug depth has handled it all with ease. Great traction in the deep mud, good grip on those areas of wet tarmac, even if they are covered with leaves, and good grip on the wet tree roots. So like I thought, it's done a great job. But we just ticked over 6 miles, so I'm going to put the camera away, head back to the adventure bus, get some dry clothes on because I am soaked through, and then we'll get back to the studio and we'll wrap this video up with a quick conclusion. Okay, that's better. I've dried off a bit, and I've got to say I've been very lucky at the moment. You know, this time of year, you never know what type of weather you're going to get, and this was the first proper sort of wet day that I've had when it comes to filming. So welcome to winter, Lloyd, that is for sure. But we did manage to get in just shy of 7.5 miles around the woods. So how did the rather grubby looking SAYSKY collaboration trail running shoe get on? Yep, they are still a bit muddy. I haven't had time to clean them properly, so I gave them a quick brush off so that we could film the conclusion. But don't worry, I will be washing them off properly after filming. And I've got to say it, I actually got on with the shoe more than I thought I would. You know, there was a few things that I thought might cause me issues out on the run. They didn't actually cause me any problems at all, and I had a good, enjoyable run around the woods today. Also, you might have noticed that I was actually running in a hydration vest, and yep, I know it was a short run, but I've been testing out a vest from the French brand Instinct. I've reviewed a few of their products on the channel. I've always been impressed, and I hooked up with Sean at the UTMB Expo this year for a chat. Such a lovely guy, super passionate about the products he develops, and we got talking about a dual quiver system that they'd just brought out. I've been testing out over the last month or so keep your eyes peeled. That full review will be coming to the channel soon. Like I mentioned, out on the run, the shoes seem to size up quite big, so I got sent a UK 9. I was a little bit worried that after today's run I might have sore toes, or even worse, black toenails, something that we never want as runners, but actually no issues at all. So I still think if I was going long in the shoe, running long distance, running ultras, I'd probably still want to go for my traditional UK 9.5, just to give me a little bit more extra volume and length in that toe box for when my feet expand. But on today's run, the UK 9 actually fitted well. You definitely want a relatively narrow foot shape if you're going to be rocking these, because there's not a lot of width in the toe box, and like I mentioned, it does taper down towards the end of the toe, but everything else in the upper performed well. Really like this gusseted tongue design, just the right level of padding for me so I can get a good lockdown, but I don't feel those laces pulling through the tongue. Same can be said, good padding around the ankle collar and in the heel. I also really like the material the laces are made from. So you pull those laces down tight, that material really bites together, giving you that nice secure lockdown that doesn't work loose while you're running. Before we went out, I did have a few concerns about the level of stiffness through the midfoot of this midsole, but actually when we got out there running in it, it wasn't too bad. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that there's a pretty good level of flex through the forefoot, and that maybe takes a bit of that stiffness away from the rest of the midsole. They actually felt pretty nimble on the more technical trails we ran today. So like I said earlier, you never really can tell how a shoe's going to feel and perform until you're out there running in it. And I think today really does prove that point. And moving down to the midsole construction, like I thought before we went out, the SAYSKY shoe does kind of go against the modern day trend of super bouncy, high energy returning midsole cushioning, because this is on the firmer side, not in an uncomfortable way. You know, we've got that softer top layer paired up with those cushioned ortholite insoles, so you do get a degree of underfoot comfort. But if you're expecting this shoe to bound you along with super bouncy cushioning, then you probably would be disappointed. On the upside, what this gives you is a super connected, very stable feeling midsole when you're on uneven ground, and a lot of underfoot protection. And as you can imagine, the Vibram Mega Grip light-based rubber outsole passed today's test with flying colours. So gave me great levels of grip in the woods, even on the wet, slippy tree roots. And this aggressive 5mm lug pan really dug in and offered me good levels of traction in all the mud and on the loose trails. So it was a pretty positive run out there today, and the shoes perform well. The one thing I would like to see is maybe them get a bit lighter in the future. I think dropping the shoe by 40 to 50 grams would make a big difference, and you know, a UK 9 weighing in at 365 grams is pretty heavy, and you can imagine if you were UK 11, UK 12, then this is going to be a very heavy shoe to run in. I think it wouldn't be that tricky to get that weight down either. You know, we've got a lot of heavy sort of structured overlays around the upper. We've got this big wrap around rubber toe bumper on the front there, and I think if you strip those couple of elements back, it really would help bring that overall weight down. Also, speaking of the weight, whenever we get a new shoe in for testing and reviewing, I always tend to pop them on the scales just to get the actual weight of the size that I'm testing. When I put one of these on, one shoe weighed in at 365 grams, I popped the other one on and it weighed 347-48 grams, which is very odd. There's normally some slight discrepancy between the two shoes, 2, 3, 4 grams, but almost 20 grams difference in weight between the right and left shoe. I'm not really sure what's going on here. But all that aside, it was a pretty good first run, and there's quite a few elements of the shoes that I really enjoyed. Good fitting, very comfortable upper on my foot shape, a great performing outsole that I think will be perfect for sort of tough winter UK conditions. And I think SAYSKY and 42 have done a pretty good job of the overall design and the aesthetics of the shoe. With just a few little tweaks here and there, making the shoe a little bit lighter, I think they've got a pretty solid trail running shoe on their hands. But it'd be great to hear from you guys. So what do you think about a trail running shoe tipping the scales at 365 grams in a UK 9? Get in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. And on that note, it brings today's video to an end. Really hope you've enjoyed it, guys. Really hope you found it helpful. And if, like me, you haven't come across the running brand 42 before, then I hope we've highlighted another one of those smaller sort of boutique brands that are popping up these days, which I think are really good for the running industry. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed it, to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And you can follow us on our other social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or Strava. But for now, I'm off to get the scrubbing brush out and to give these a good clean so they're nice and golden again. But thanks for watching, thanks for supporting the channel, it's really appreciated. And as always, stay safe and keep on running. Okay, that's better. I have dried off a bit, and I've got to say I've been very, very lucky when it comes to filming at the moment. Obviously, winter time in the here. And as you can imagine, the Vibram Mega Grip light base outsole passed today's test with flying colours. It gave me